Jonas sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the empty chair by his desk. Every morning he woke up, hoping to see a message on his screen from Mara, but there was only silence. She had moved 3,000 miles away last spring, chasing her dream of studying alien languages on a distant colony. At first, they video chatted every night. But lately, calls dropped, time zones clashed, and their laughter turned into awkward pauses. Jonas felt as if the bond between them was unraveling thread by thread. He remembered the day she left. They walked together through the park near their childhood homes, where tall oaks arched over rust-colored leaves. The air smelled like smoke and promise. Mara pointed at the horizon and whispered, "I need to see more." Jonas nodded, even though his heart trembled. He watched her silhouette fade into the rising sun, and he promised himself he would always be there for her. Now that promise felt lost in static and missed connections. At work, Jonas tried to focus on his project, designing a small drone to carry seeds to dangerous alien worlds. His team praised his innovations, and his dreams of helping rebuild scorched planets kept him busy, yet every success felt hollow without Mara's approval. He drafted messages full of jokes and memories, but deleted them before sending. He worried his words sounded needy, or worse, like he did not respect her new life. So he let each message vanish into the void. Each evening, Jonas walked to the rooftop of his apartment. The skyline glowed with soft lights, and distant stars winked through the thin atmosphere. He traced the constellations that he and Mara had memorized as children. The same bright star that guided Earth's ships also shone above Mara's new home. In that moment, he felt a spark of hope. If the universe could span impossible distances and still connect to points with light, maybe he could bridge the gap. Between them, he decided to try something different. Instead of typing a long letter, he recorded a short voice clip. His voice trembled at first. "Hey, it's me. I miss you. I'm proud of you. I want to hear about your days, even the small ones." He paused, imagining her smile. He clicked send and felt his chest loosen. It was simple, honest, and real. He refused to let fear keep him silent. The next morning, Jonas found a reply in his inbox. Mara's voice was warm and gentle. She spoke of late-night study sessions in neon labs, of her roommate's laugh, of a sunrise that looked like pink glass. Then she paused and said, "I've missed our quiet talks more than you know." Jonas closed his eyes and smiled. His heart felt light, like a seed on the wind, ready to take root again. Over the next week, their bond began to grow anew. Jonas sent small videos of the drone tests, and Mara sent photos of her lab's blooming terrariums. They traded stories of daily routines: the neighbor cat that followed Jonas on his walks, the creaky elevator that Mara called the space shuttle. Each message was a bridge woven from simple threads of shared life. One evening, Jonas surprised Mara with a digital scrapbook. He collected their childhood drawings, old concert tickets, and a short poem he once wrote for her, "Under a Night Sky." He crafted it into a slideshow set to the song they both loved. When Mara watched it, her laughter and tears brought him to his own eyes. She whispered, "This feels like home." Jonas realized that distance had not destroyed their friendship. It had tested it. Humans faced vast voids between worlds, yet we learned to build ships in light-speed lanes. So too, could he learn new ways to reach the person he cared about. In every silent pause, there lay an opportunity to speak louder with kindness and action. As he closed his laptop that night, Jonas felt a surge of hope. He no longer sat by an empty chair. Instead, he imagined Mara beside him on that rooftop, eyes turned toward the stars. Their silence had once frightened him, but now he knew its power. In the space between words, they found room to grow. And in that stillness, their hearts spoke louder than any barrier ever could. Jonas woke to the hum of his apartment's life support and a hollow ache in his chest. He had spent the morning talking with Mara the day before, sharing small joys and quiet worries, but now the silence felt like waves pulling him under. He dressed slowly, the weight of distance settling on his shoulders again, remembered her. Laughter when he mentioned the rooftop stars, the way her voice brightened even at the end of a long day. He wanted that spark back, more than anything, but he didn't know how to reach across the miles. At the lab where he worked, Jonas focused on calibrating the seed-spreading drone sensors. He took pride in helping planets recover from dust storms and acid seas. His designs were clever, each drone programmed to find nutrients and plant seeds exactly where new life could grow. But today his hands trembled as he connected wires and he nearly dropped a circuit board. His colleagues glanced at him with concern. Jonas forced a polite smile and explained that he was running late on a personal errand. He excused himself and retreated to his office. He sat before the holoprojector and replayed Mara's last message. She had sounded hopeful, asking him to send stories of his daily life. Jonas scrolled through his memories, a photo of the wind chime he built from scrap metal, a note he had scribbled about a quiet sunrise, a rough sketch of the cornfields outside the city. Each artifact reminded him of home and friendship. Yet something felt missing, a connection deeper than images. He needed to give her more than facts. He needed to share the beating heart behind them. Jonas remembered how humans, in the face of galactic threats, learned to trust one another and survive by banding together. He thought of the first time Earth's colonies sent messages to Apollo Station. When crews exchanged baked bread recipes and lullabies, humanity's strength lay not in weapons, but in kindness. If they could cross light years with song and hope, Jonas could cross a few thousand miles with a simple gift of empathy. He decided to record not a clip, but a live performance. He borrowed a guitar from a friend and spent the afternoon composing a song. The melody was gentle, like wind over fields, and the words spoke of missing someone who felt like home. Even when you drift past distant suns, my heart keeps time. To your smile, he sang softly, practicing until his voice carried confidence instead of tremor. When he felt ready, he set up the holoprojector in his office and streamed himself singing into the recorder. His fingers danced on strings, and his eyes glowed with honest longing. After he sent the recording, Jonas waited, pacing the lab's corridors. Hours passed as he reviewed satellite feeds and logged drone simulations. Finally, late at night, his come chimed. Mara's face appeared in the projector's glow, her eyes shining with gentle surprise. "You sang for me," she whispered. "I never knew you played." Jonas felt the bond stretch taut between them, and relax in a shared smile. They spoke until dawn, Jonas explaining each chord, and Mara teaching him a phrase in the alien tongue she studied. True friends share their hearts, even in silence. Her voice held hope, and Jonas felt his own hope blossom like a seed in fertile soil. He realized that HFY was not just about great machines or bold deeds. It was about the human spirit's ability to bridge any void with care and creativity. In the following days, Jonas challenged himself to find small ways to connect. He sent videos of the drone's first successful seed drop, edited so it looked like a comet of green fire arcing through twilight. He recorded morning routines, pouring coffee, watering the rooftop garden, smiling at the first sparrow of the day. Each clip was simple, honest, a glimpse of life she could share in. Mara responded with stories of a desert planet named Veridia, where wind carved glass flowers in the dunes. She joked that he should send her seeds so she could grow Earth's memories in her lab. One evening, Jonas organized a virtual dinner. He cooked a dish he knew Mara loved, roasted root tubers with honey glaze and displayed it in a tray under his holocamera. He watched her savor descriptions of flavor and texture, and he imagined she tasted the same dish half a galaxy away. They laughed over a clumsy kitchen mishap when Jonas spilled honey, and she described the precise controls in her lab oven. For a moment, the room felt smaller, the distance between them passaged through a single window. Despite the time zones and the millions of miles, Jonas learned that hope was more powerful than any empty promise. When a day slipped by without a call, he reminded himself of the song he had written, and he hummed it as he walked home. When silence threatened to overwhelm him, he chose action, 3 words, a clip, a recipe thing to show he cared. Humanity had survived Star's fury by lighting candles of compassion in the dark. So could he. On a quiet night, Jonas stood again on his rooftop, eyes on the familiar star that shone over Mara's home. He whispered aloud, "I will always find a way to reach you." The wind answered with a gentle rustle, carrying his promise into the sky. In that moment, Jonas knew that distance was no match for resolve fueled by hope. And somewhere on Veredia, Mara looked at the same star, felt his promise, and smiled back through the silence that spoke louder than any words. Jonas woke before dawn, the pale light of his apartment's windows painting soft shadows on the floor. He wrapped a blanket around his shoulders and carried a small box to his rooftop garden. Inside the box was a single seedling and earth wildflower. He had nurtured in his study. He had watched it grow from a tiny sprout into a sturdy green shoot, its leaves trembling when he talked to it. Today he decided he would send it to Mara. He arranged the seedling carefully in the box, patting it with soft moss and a note. In simple handwriting he wrote, "I thought you might like a piece of earth where you are now. May it bring you hope, as you have brought me." He sealed the box and scheduled a courier to deliver it across 3,000 miles of space, to the colony where Mara studied alien tongues. Then he let out a deep breath. He felt both excited and nervous. It was one thing to send a song or a story. It was another to send a living thing. Through the day, Jonas kept busy with his work on the seed-spreading drones. He ran simulations, checked data logs, and conferred with his team about their next mission. His colleagues could see a quiet determination in his eyes. When one of them asked why he seemed so focused, Jonas simply said, "I have a reason to. Keep going." They understood enough to smile and let him be. As evening fell, Jonas returned to the rooftop. He gazed out at the city's lights, then up at the stars that linked him to Mara's world. He whispered a hope that the wildflower would take root under foreign skies. In that silent moment, he felt the familiar ache of distance, but he also felt the steady pulse of hope under his ribs, hope that human kindness could reach across any gap. 2 days later, a reply arrived, not in his inbox, but in his arms. A small, portable planter appeared in his doorway, delivered from the same courier service. Inside, a young wildflower peeked above the soil, its petals a gentle white. A note from Mara read, "It survived. I see Earth again whenever I look at it. Thank you for this gift of life." Jonas held the planter close, feeling warmth spread. Through him, he set it on his windowsill where its leaves could catch the morning light. That night, Jonas recorded a short message for Mara. He spoke quietly. "I saw your flower, blooms under neon skies, and I imagined your smile." He added a promise. "I will keep finding ways to share our worlds." He sent the clip, and then turned off the holoprojector, letting the stars fill his thoughts. Jonas realized that reconnection was not a single act, but many small gestures. He started writing letters again, not long, but heartfelt. Some described a sunrise he saw on his morning walk. Some described a new drone design that reminded him of Mara's curiosity. He mailed these letters in digital capsules that jingled. When opened, each message carried his voice, his laughter, and his longing. Meanwhile, Mara surprised him with her own efforts. A holographic message arrived, showing her in her lab wearing gloves and holding a vial of colored liquid. She explained how she used the wildflower's genetic sequence to help shape new growth studies on the alien planet. Then she waved and mouthed a thank you. Jonas watched her eyes light up the screen, and he felt the distance shrink. One weekend, Jonas organized a virtual stargazing night. He sent her coordinates for a hidden hill outside his city where the stars looked brightest. In return, Mara sent him a map of the glass dunes on her world, where light bent like water. They connected their holoprojectors and placed them side by side on a table. On one screen, Jonas's rooftop garden starred, Earth's constellations on the other. Mara's terrace balcony framed Veredia's twin moons. They spoke softly into the darkness, pointing at different shapes in the sky. With each silent nod and shared breath, they felt closer. Despite these successes, Jonas sometimes fell into old fears. He worried that life's demands might pull them apart again. One morning, he found himself staring at the empty chair by his desk. He took a deep breath and pushed himself to speak into the hollow mic. "I need to talk." When Maura's face appeared, he told her his worries that he feared silence would return. She listened intently, her eyes kind. Then she said, "We will make time. We will find ways." Jonas felt tears sting his eyes. He had dared to share his fear, and she had met him with understanding. The next week, Jonas built a simple app that synced their daily routines. Each morning, he would record a quick good morning message before his first coffee. Each evening, Maura would send him one thing she learned in the lab. The app displayed their entries side by side, like two streams flowing into a single river. When Jonas opened it, he saw her world flow alongside his, and he felt the distance melt. One evening, Jonas invited Maura to a surprise. He led the holoprojector to the rooftop garden and illuminated the space with soft fairy lights. He had planted new wildflowers and hung tiny peace lanterns from the trellis. When Maura joined, she gasped at the scene. Jonas explained, "I wanted you to see a garden that your flower helped grow." She smiled through tears as they walked together by hologram between the lights and blooms. In that moment, Jonas felt the full power of HFY humanity's ability to build hope where there was none. Distance had tested their bond, but human creativity and heart had passed the test. As they stood beneath an artificial sky of lights, he reached out and touched the screen where her hand appeared. Their fingers met in flickering hologram, and Jonas knew that no distance could outlast the caring hands of two friends. Determined to stay connected, Jonas woke to the soft hum of early morning, the sky a pale sheet of blue beyond his window. His heart felt heavy with longing. Mara's last message had come days ago, a brief note about a strange storm on her planet. Since then, nothing. He dressed quickly and carried his coffee up to the rooftop garden, where the wildflowers and ferns he tended reached toward the sun. He settled beside a young blossom that had survived a night frost and whispered, "I wish I could help you grow, even from afar." Remembered how humans once faced dying worlds and still rebuilt forests with tiny seeds carried by drone swarms. That clever hope had spread green life where none had seemed possible. Jonas believed that same hope could reach Maura. He just needed a new idea, back in his apartment. He gathered a small stack of plain paper, colored pencils, and sticky notes. He sat at his desk and opened a fresh holoprojector window. And then he began to draw. First, a simple portrait of himself, smiling and holding up a sprouted seed. Next, a sketch of Maura in her lab, her hair tied back, eyes bright with curiosity. Under each drawing, he wrote a single word: hope beneath his, wonder beneath hers. Then he filled the margins with tiny doodles, drones carrying seeds, glass dunes under twin moons, two hands reaching across a blank page. When the drawings were done, Jonas cut them carefully into small cards. On each card, he wrote a short note. "Tell me one new thing you saw today. Send me your favorite alien word. I drew a star that reminds me of you." He folded the cards like paper boats and placed them in a small wooden box carved with leaf patterns, set the box beside his holoprojector, and recorded a quick video. "I made something special. Open one card every day. I'll open the same here. Let's share our lives again." He sent the video in the digital box instantly. For the rest of the day, he moved through his scheduled meetings on drone swarms, testing new navigation codes, but his mind wandered to the box of cards. He wondered which one Maura would open first. He pictured her fingertip brushing over wonder or reading the prompt about her favorite word. That night, Jonas returned to his desk to find a reply. Mara's face filled the hollow window, framed by soft lab lights and blooming terrariums. She held the wooden box in her hand, smiling in gentle wonder. She said, "Thank you. This feels like home." She lifted a card and read aloud, "Tell me one new thing you saw today." Then she laughed and said, "Every sunrise here is pink like glass. I will remember this card forever."
Ow.
He opened his own copy of the card and read it to himself. "Tell me one new thing you saw today." Paused, and then spoke into his come. "I watched a sparrow visit my garden and drink dew from a leaf. It was small, brave, and it stayed with me for a moment." He sent the message, picturing Mara's eyes as she listened. Over the next week, they played the card game across worlds. Each morning, Jonas drew a card. Draw a memory from your childhood. He sent her a hasty sketch of their favorite playground. The slide painted green, leaves scattered below. Al replied with a Hollis sketch of a river canyon she loved, its walls glowing under twin moons. Each exchange felt like laughter passing through wires. It's drawing a bridge across empty space. One afternoon, Mara surprised him. She asked him to teach her a human game. Chose a simple one, tossing pebbles into a small pond until they made concentric rings. Jonas set up a hollow camera above his apartment's water tank and arranged smooth stones. He demonstrated the toss, explaining how he learned the game with his grandfather near a riverbank on Earth. He challenged Mara. Try it with something soft and light. Later, she sent him a video of her carefully dropping tiny glass beads into a tank of colored liquid. The beads formed rings that glowed under neon lights. Jonas clapped in delight in the moments between work tasks. Jonas sketched new cards. Share a dream you had last night. Tell me the color of your laughter. Draw me a star from your sky. He mailed them digitally, eager to see her reply. Each card she opened brought her voice. Jonas woke before sunrise again, his heart heavy with the same ache. The holoscreen on his desk was blank where Mara's face should have been. He placed a hand over his chest and breathed deeply. He missed her voice, her laughter, even her quiet silences. He did not know how to close the gap between them. He sat at his desk, staring at the empty hollow window, and wondered if distance had already won. He pushed himself to stand and went to his shelf of old mementos. There he found a small wooden music box that Mara once gave him. He wound it carefully, until it played a soft melody they both loved. The tune filled his room with gentle notes. He recorded the music and sent it to Mara with a short message. I remember us here. I hope this brings you warmth. He hoped it would remind her they shared memories worth holding on to. When no answer came that day, Jonas felt the familiar knot of worry in his stomach. He walked through the city streets beneath neon signs and flying cars. Everywhere he looked, people greeted each other with smiles, shared stories in cafes, and traded little gifts. Humanity had built warmth into every corner of its world. If they could do that on a grand scale, Jonas thought, he could do it for one person across the Starzy decided to create a virtual gallery of their shared past. He gathered photos of Earth's forests, sketches of alien plants Mara studied, and recordings of the rooftop wind chimes. He designed a simple virtual room where each item floated in soft light. He even recreated the park where they first met, with winding paths and tall oak trees. He practiced walking through the gallery, touching each image until it felt real beneath his fingers in the headset. That evening, Jonas set up the VR link and sent an invitation. Meet me here tomorrow. At sunset, he held his breath as he watched the message send. Did not know if Mara would join. He remembered how humans once reached out across raging storms and still found each other. That same spirit, quiet courage, and caring could guide him now. Next day, Jonas donned his VR headset in the rooftop garden. Soft light from the setting sun mixed with the glow of his virtual room. He walked slowly down the path between oak trees and stopped by a holographic bench where he had placed a photo of him and Mara laughing under rain. He reached out and touched the raindrop in the image. It rippled and vanished. At that moment, the virtual door behind him opened. He turned to see Mara's avatar step inside. She wore a simple blue dress like the one she favored on Earth. Her eyes glowed with surprise and relief. Jonas, she whispered, her voice soft in his ear. He felt tears rise but smiled instead. They walked slowly together through the gallery. Mara touched each floating image, and Jonas told her the story behind it. He spoke of the music box's melody, the wind chime song, and the way Earth's soil smelled after rain. In return, Mara shared stories of her new friends on the colony, the strange plants that glowed at night, and the words she had learned in the alien tongue for friend and home. When they reached the final exhibit, a hollow video of his drone dropping seeds over a desert, they stood side by side and watched green sparks bloom in the shifting sands. Jonas felt hope flood his chest. He realized that even though they were apart, they could share a world built from memories and dreams. Before they left the gallery, Jonas handed Mara a virtual key. It glowed gold in her palm. "This is for you," he said. "You can add anything you want." Mara smiled and placed a small seedling she had grown in her lab beside the wind chime exhibit. The seedling sprouted into tiny flowers in real time. Jonas reached out and touched the flowers. They felt warm and alive. Mara turned to him and said, "Thank you for this gift. Feels like we are here together." Jonas nodded, feeling tears on his cheeks. "Distance is just a number," he replied. "Our hope and our hearts can cross any space." They stayed in the gallery until virtual night fell, the sky painted with Earth stars and Viridia's moons. Then they shared a silent moment, linked by light and kindness. When they finally said goodbye, Jonas removed his headset and looked at the real sky. The first star of evening shone bright. He whispered, "I will always find a way." In that promise, he felt the full power of humanity's spirit, quiet courage, creative hope, and the will to connect across any void. Jonas woke before dawn again, but today his heart felt lighter. He had shared a virtual gallery with Mara yesterday, and she had added her own memories. Yet as the morning light crept through his window, he still felt a quiet ache. He poured coffee into his favorite mug, the one with a tiny seedling painted on it, and carried it to his rooftop garden. He sat among the ferns and wildflowers and watched the city below. Birds darted between towers. The wind sighed through leaves. For a moment, Jonas let himself breathe deeply and feel hope. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his device. He tapped the screen and opened the app he had built for him and Mara. It showed two lists, things he wanted to share and things she had shared. Today, he saw 3 new items under her name. A note about a storm petal that sang when touched, a sketch of her lab's bright terrariums, and a single word in the alien language Aja, which she said meant friend. He smiled, his chest warming. He felt pride in the app they had made together. It was small, but it kept them connected. Jonas decided to create something new, climbed down from the garden and walked to his workbench, gathered scraps of metal, glass, and old drone parts. He worked carefully, bending wires and fitting tiny motors. His hands moved with steady purpose, guided by hope. Built a small mechanical bird no larger than his palm. It had a bronze body and wings of thin, flexible metal. When wounded, it would flutter its wings and sing a gentle tone. Jonas imagined Mara's surprise when she saw it. That afternoon, he wound the bird and set it on the rooftop rail. He recorded a short holoclip. "This is my gift to you, a mechanical songbird, carrying my song." He tapped send and watched the bird dip and rise in the breeze. Its tiny wings caught sunlight, sang a soft musical note that repeated. In a pleasant loop, Jonas felt his own spirit rise with each note. He recorded the song's tune into the message so Mara could play it in her lab. The next evening, Jonas checked his as he finished dinner. He found a message from Mara with a small video clip. In it, she cradled a tiny mechanical bird that fluttered its wings in her hands. She whispered, "It is like holding your heart," and the bird sang. Jonas watched tears fill her eyes on the screen. In that moment, he realized that human kindness could carry across star systems stronger than any metal. His heart swelled with pride and love. Over the coming days, Jonas and Mara found new ways to weave their lives together. Jonas sent small packets of earth air sealed in glass vials, so Mara could smell rain on soil. Mara sent him samples of glowing moss from her world, sealed in a clear cube, so he could watch it glow in his dark room. Each gift was simple, honest, and human. Each gift said, "I care." And each gift built a bridge of hope between them. One morning, as Jonas reviewed drone flight data, his alerted him to a live message. He tapped to connect. Mara's face appeared, framed by lab equipment and vines of glowing moss. She smiled and said, "I have something for you." She held up a thin bracelet made of the glowing moss encased in clear resin. When light passed through it, the moss pulsed softly with color. "Wear this," she said, "and you will carry my world with you." Jonas reached out and touched the screen where her hand held the bracelet. He felt a warmth that no distance could cool. That night, Jonas slipped the bracelet onto his wrist. He ran his fingers over the smooth resin and watched the faint glow. He walked to the rooftop garden under a sky strewn with stars. He held up his wrist and whispered, "I carry you with me." The wind stirred the leaves and seemed to answer, "And you carry hope." In the darkness, the bracelet's gentle light made the flowers look like tiny lanterns in the days that followed. Jonas and Mara returned to their routine of work and study, but the ache of distance had softened. Whenever they felt apart, they found a way to share something real: a song, a seedling, a bird, a memory. They reminded each other of humanity's greatest trait, the will to connect and care, even across vast emptiness. They proved that hearts are stronger than miles. One evening, Jonas sat in his garden and looked at the bracelet's glow. He thought of Mara growing alien plants under neon skies. He thought of journeys humanity had made from Earth to the stars. He realized that every step humans took into the unknown was guided by the same hope that guided him now. The hope that no matter how far someone moves away, kindness and creativity can always bring them closer. He closed his eyes, breathed in the night air, and felt, deep in his chest, the steady beat of human hope. Jonas woke before the city lights turned on, his mind already heavy with longing. He dressed quietly and slipped out to the rooftop garden, where the soft glow of the moss bracelet on his wrist reminded him of Mara. He looked across the sky toward the distant colony, though he knew light years separated them. His heart ached with missing her voice and laughter. He did not know what more he could send, what more he could do to bridge the silence that sometimes stretched between them. He sat by the wind chime he had made from drone parts and fresh vines. When he gently touched it, a soft melody echoed. Across the garden was the song he and Mara once hummed together as children. He recorded the sound and sent it with a message. "This memory still sings in my heart. I hope it brings you close." He paused, imagining her listening. He pictured her smile, the tilt of her head, and felt courage rise in his chest. Later, Jonas returned to his workshop and poured himself into a new project. He collected old circuit boards, glass vials, and bits of meteorite metal. He worked, with steady hands, guided by hope. He combined them into a small device that could capture and replay a scent. He calibrated it carefully so it would release the smell of rain on Earth's soil, something Mara had said she missed most. When the prototype was ready, he tested it. The room filled with the scent of wet earth and wildflowers. That evening, he packaged the device in a secure container and recorded a short clip. "Close your eyes, press the button, and breathe. I wanted you to smell home." He sent the package's coordinates to the courier. As he watched it depart, he felt both nervous and hopeful. It was one thing to send music or flowers. It was another to send a piece of Earth's air, yet he believed that human ingenuity born from caring hearts could reach across any gap. The next day, as Jonas adjusted drone directives on his console, a message chime surprised him. It was from Mara. His breath caught as he opened the hollow window. She held the scent device close to her face, eyes closed. After a moment, she sighed softly and said, "I can smell rain on soil. I feel you here." Tears shone in her eyes. Jonas felt his chest swell with relief. In that instant, he realized that the smallest acts of kindness could carry the greatest weight. Over the following week, they continued their exchange of gifts and moments. Jonas sent a tiny vial of morning dew collected from his garden. Mara sent back a jar of colored sand from her planet's pink dunes. She explained how she used the sand to study wind patterns in her lab. Every message, every gift, built a mosaic of shared life, piece by piece. Jonas learned that hope was not just a feeling. It was a choice to reach out again and again. One afternoon, Jonas felt restless. He walked through the quiet streets to a small cafe that overlooked a park filled with human and alien families. Laughter drifted on the breeze, and children chased each other beneath glowing trees. Humanity had come together with other species to build welcoming spaces, finding unity in diversity. Jonas sat at a table and sketched a design for a public art installation, two hands reaching out across a gap of water. bridges of light connecting them. He imagined placing it in the park, a symbol of connection. He recorded the sketch and sent it to Mara. "I want us to build something together, even if it is on different worlds," he wrote. She replied with her own sketch, a mural of wildflowers, climbing crystalline walls, symbolizing growth under harsh conditions. They agreed to refine the designs together, sharing ideas until both pieces formed a single vision of unity. That evening, Jonas returned to the rooftop garden and hung a small lantern shaped like a seedling. As he lit it, the lantern shimmered. With soft green light, he whispered, "One day, we will light these in the same place." He understood that each act of caring, no matter how small, built a bridge stronger than any starship corridor. It was the human way to turn longing into creativity, sadness into sharing, distance into possibility. He closed his eyes and let the lantern's glow warm his face, thought of Mara under her twin moons, perhaps wishing on a star just as he. Did he open his cum and said softly into it, "I believe in us." He paused, then added, "I will always find a way." In that promise, he felt humanity's finest trait, hope fueled by gentle tenacity. And somewhere across the silent void, Mara heard him and smiled back. Jonas woke to the first light of dawn, the sky painted in gentle pinks and gold. He wrapped a warm shawl around his shoulders and stepped onto his balcony. The air felt crisp, and the city below stirred to life. Still, his heart felt heavy with the space between him and Mara. She had moved far away, chasing her dream of studying alien cultures. He missed her voice, her laughter, and the way she understood him without words. He did not know how to close the distance once and for all. He brewed a cup of tea and carried it to his workbench, where the half-finished model of a small biodrone lay. This drone was designed to capture memories, light, sound, even scent, store them in a small portable chip. Jonas had been working on it for weeks, but today he felt stuck. He sipped his tea and stared at the delicate circuits. He thought of how humans once crossed oceans in tiny ships and reached other worlds with powerful rockets. If they could do that, maybe he could find a way to send Mara more than just letters and gifts. He could send her a piece of his world. He picked up his soldering tool and continued the drone's assembly. Each connection sparked a memory. The day Mara taught him to read star maps, the night they camped under a meteor shower, the morning they planted their first seedling in the rooftop garden. He programmed the drone's memory chip to trigger those memories in sequence. Then he added a small camera and microphone so it could record new moments in Mara's life, too. He imagined her turning it on in her lab and seeing his face smile. Back at her, by midday, the drone stood complete. A gleaming, egg-shaped device no larger than Jonas's closed fist. He wound its tiny propeller and watched it hover above his hand, steady and bright. He recorded a short message. "I built this for you. It holds my memories and hopes. It will carry your new ones back to me." He tapped send and arranged for the drone to be couriered across the stars to Mara's colony. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jonas paced in his garden, waiting. He watched the lanterns he had hung in her honor sway in the breeze. Each lantern bore a word: hope, courage, friendship, home. They glowed softly, casting green light on the leaves. He whispered to them, "Please carry my hope to her." Late at night, his cum chirped. Mara's face appeared, tired but smiling. In her hands, she held the hover drone. Jonas's breath caught. She wound its propeller and set it airborne. It hummed softly, then projected a holoclip of Jonas in his garden, watering a young sapling. The drone had recorded his gentle care. Then it switched to live view, showing Mara's lab full of glowing plants. She spoke into the drone's mic. "I am here, and I think of you every day." Jonas felt tears fill his eyes. They talked through the night, sharing memories and dreams. Jonas guided the drone to record her laughter as she walked through her terrarium. She captured his quiet greeting to the morning sparrow on his balcony. They spoke of the future, plans to visit each other's worlds, to walk side by side under different skies. Jonas realized that humans had crossed vast distances by inventing faster engines. I felt proud that he and Mara had done the same with creativity and care. In the days that followed, the drone became their shared project. Jonas improved its memory capacity so it could hold entire conversations. Mara added a small filter so it could capture the scent of her planet's flowers. They exchanged data files and sketches, refining each upgrade together. Each evening, they met in a holoroom and tested the drone's new features. They laughed when the device hiccuped and showed them upside down. They cheered when it worked perfectly, sending clear images of Mara's sunrise over crystalline mountains. One morning, Jonas awoke to a special message. Mara's face filled the hollow window, her eyes bright with excitement. She held up a tiny vial of blue pollen, calling it gift. Jonas smiled and held the drone beneath the camera. She poured the pollen into a small chamber on the device. The pollen glowed softly, and the drone's lights pulsed in response. Jonas felt a thrill of joy. Their worlds had blended, Earth's green hope and Viridia's blue mystery together in one small machine. That day, Jonas stepped outside into the city plaza. He carried the drone in his hand and walked beneath banners of stars and planets.
April
Paused to greet him as he passed, curious about the little device. He told them it was more than a machine, it was a symbol of human spirit. He explained how creativity and kindness could bridge any gap. Listeners smiled, inspired by his simple pride in human ingenuity. When he returned home that night, he found a package on his doorstep. Inside was a one ticket for him to travel to Mara's world. It bore her handwriting. "Come see the stars with me." Jonas's heart soared. He held the ticket to his chest and whispered, "Hope made this possible." He looked up at Earth's sky, remembering all the silent promises he had made. He felt a surge of confidence. Humanity had looked at empty space and chosen to build bridges of light and sound. Now he would step through one of those bridges himself. As Jonas packed his bags, he placed the drone gently beside his essentials. He slipped the lantern tokens into his pocket, whispered to them, "I will return with new memories."